From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
A show of support.
I think it's important to have an outreach that can help support the mental health of those that are affected.
A new way to help farmers and ranchers hit hard by hurricanes. What's behind all the recent big export flash sales?
You know, there is a you never know factor in all this.
I get the inside scoop from one market analyst as a lack of rain in many parts of the country starts to really add up.
The highest number we've seen so far this year, but over the last 10 years.
Is there any relief in sight? An update right now on AgDay.
AgDay is brought to you by Pioneer.
Ben's bins, please hold.
Yeah, Ben's has been busy all day.
Seems like no one can keep up with this new Z series. What did you all put in these seeds?
Science.
Good morning. I'm Michelle Rowe. Clinton has the day off. We begin with the developing story. The U.S. Federal Trade Commission and its probe into Deere Company. Reuters reporting the investigation is focused on repair restrictions manufacturers place on hardware or software, often known as right to repair. In a petition, it is stated the purpose of the FTC investigation is to, quote, determine whether Deere Company or any other person has engaged in or is engaging in unfair, deceptive, anti-competitive, collusive, coercive, predatory, exploitative, or exclusionary acts or practices in or affecting commerce related to the repair of agricultural equipment in violation of Section 5 of the Federal Trade Commission Act, end quote. The investigation was authorized in September of 2021, but it is just now coming to light after it was made public through the petition filed by a data analytic company called Hargrove and Associates. Now, Hargrove is seeking to squash or limit the FTC subpoena seeking market information submitted to its members by the Association of Equipment Manufacturers. Hargrove calls the information confidential and commercially sensitive. Now, it's worth noting neither Hargrove or AEM is a target of the probe. Deere is facing lawsuits from farmers over whether its repair policies violate antitrust law. But you'll remember last year the company signed a memorandum of understanding with the American Farm Bureau Federation, allowing farmers to fix their own equipment. A spokesperson for Deere told Reuters the company is cooperating with the FTC. While some areas of the West finally saw some moisture over the weekend, the hot, dry weather of recent weeks is taking a toll on topsoil moisture. Right now, the amount of topsoil rated short to very short across the country stands at 62%. Now, that's up 10% from the previous week.
At 62% is not only the highest number we've seen so far this year, but over the last 10 years, it ranks second all time behind what we saw happening in the autumn of 2022. That year, we saw a peak value of 68% very short to short occurring on October 23rd.
Rippey says the only areas that are seeing lingering wetness are Florida and Georgia, which were hit hard by hurricanes. So is more rain on the way to help replenish supplies? Meteorologist Jack Van Meter joins us with a look ahead.
We're really starting to see some of these drier conditions move into parts of the country just as harvest is starting to wrap up for most folks. But the drought monitor really starting to expand some of the dryness, but some of our normal offenders are unfortunately still on the list, like West Virginia and parts of southern Ohio, really starting to see, again, those severe and even extreme and exceptional droughts really take place. Now for the central part of the country and the West Coast, as we can see, dryness really starting to just spread. Most places really starting to see moderate to even severe droughts starting to form. And what this is actually doing is starting to dry up all of the available moisture in the soil, which in effect is drying up a lot of that runoff, which is used to feed some of our rivers, which we use to, of course, get some of those crops and feed out of the country. Something we're keeping a very close eye on. And wow, check out this spectacular shot of the Northern Lights. They really put on a show a few days ago. Roger of Iowa saying this was a single 8-second exposure looking out on a cornfield. Just awesome, Roger. Well, I'll have more on your forecast in just a second.
Florida officials are tallying up the damage to agriculture caused by Hurricane Milton. The state's Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services estimating total losses between $1.5 billion to $2.5 billion. Florida's Commissioner of Agriculture says with 4 major hurricanes in just over a year, agriculture communities in the state have been hit repeatedly, causing unprecedented financial strain. He sent a letter to USDA Secretary Tom Vilsack asking him to expedite the review process and make all available assistance through FSA and USDA programs accessible to farmers. Secretary Vilsack recently providing an update on USDA efforts in the region.
Incident management teams are deployed in the southeast, and we're coordinating work for debris removal and cleanup, the first step in that recovery effort. Our teams are also providing key support to FEMA and the national response efforts, including daily assessments of the damage and the logistical coordination and challenges that we face in rebuilding the damaged area.
Florida's Ag Commissioner says the losses from Milton are on top of the over $1.5 billion in damage already sustained from hurricanes Helene, Debbie, and Adelia. The corn and soybean markets got a huge demand boost last week with strong weekly exports and a string of flash sales. But is the recent buying all based on value? Grain market analysts tell me some of it may be tied to fear of increased tariffs or a trade war. Some recent polls have suggested former President Trump is gaining momentum, and he's talked about increasing tariffs, especially on China, plus renegotiating USMCA. The 2018 trade war with China and the implosion in soybean prices is fresh on traders' minds.
A lot of the buyers out there are looking at this and be like, hey, we don't know what's going to happen, with trade if Trump gets elected here. We not only do we have a value, but we might as well be buying also, just in case, because there is a you never know factor in all this.
Mexico was also a big buyer of corn last week, accounting for a majority of the 94 million bushels of flash sales announced. Plus, weekly export sales for corn were just shy of 88 million. That's the biggest week since March 16th of 2023. Soybeans also had strong weekly exports of 63 million bushels and flash sales of over 22 million bushels to China and unknown. However, grains took a breather at the end of last week while livestock had a great Friday. I'll explore what we'll be keeping an eye on in the market this coming week. And later, helping farmers and ranchers recovering from hurricanes, how a letter could make the difference in the country.
Register now for the Milk Business Conference, December 10th and 11th in Vegas, for a chance to win tickets to the National Finals Rodeo while in town.
A down day on Friday in the grains. Tommy Grisapi is back with the analysis. And Tommy, it was sad to see the grain set back. We had strong exports. We kind of faded that news. And what did we see? Was the market removing weather premium? Was it technical selling? What was going on?
We started with exports coming out on a Friday, not a Thursday. And then the market just started to sell off. Now we're seeing news out of Russia. Russia must have changed their mind on what wheat they're going to export. So wheat started off to be the weak one, and then something happened in beans, Michelle. I don't know if it's a weather forecast or if it's that last push of farmer selling. We're going to come into and realize that we are almost done with bean harvest for many. We're finishing up bean harvest in the next 5 to 10 days, well through 3/4 the way of bean harvest, but we did have hedging pressure. The market that did the best was corn, only being down a little. And when you look at the totals for the week, both corn, all three, corn, wheat, and beans, lower on the week.
So because we did have lower weekly closes in all the grains, did the funds pile on and sell as we start this new week, or does that unsurface some more commercial demand or end user buying?
Well, the funds have a little bit of a conundrum. The funds have the problem that they watch gold, the other yellow commodity, hit a new high of 2,730. You're seeing some commodities do well and others not do well. The funds are so confused. They see China do massive, massive stimulus packages. The funds see the stock market all-time highs. But in the end, the fundamentals are winning in grains, and I think the funds got it wrong. They had a massive short position. They puked it quickly. They started puking corn, puking our term for buying back of a position, but they definitely puked beans when we had that short covering rally. I think they're going to wish they had those on, but margin calls had to be met. And when beans rally $1 in a few weeks, it creates pain for people. Now looking, if someone paid $10.70 for beans a few weeks ago, they have to be sick to their stomach when they see we're now back at $9.70.
No doubt. All right, thanks so much, Tommy Grisafi with Advanced Trading. We will have more AgDay coming up.
Interested in spending a day with a trader? Call Tommy Grisafi at 800-664-4383.
Watch Markets Now with Michelle Rook on the Farm Journal YouTube channel, keeping you updated throughout the day on the markets at the open, midday, and close. Find out what moved the markets today and what to expect the market to do next.
In terms of precipitation, we are seeing this dome of high pressure that's really starting to dominate parts of the Midwest and, of course, East Coast here, obviously, clear of clouds or any sort of precipitation for that matter, starting to slowly but surely break down, which is good news because we just saw how dry that drought monitor really is. Starting to see some systems actually move into rain and snow mode as temperatures start to fall this October. Putting this in motion, we can see, again, it's going to be on the Rocky Mountains, of course, in Colorado, where we're starting to see some of the snow move in, of course, at that higher elevation. But we are starting to see some showers as well. Ride that ridge of high pressure and start to deposit that, of course, in the Great Lakes states, which is, again, great news for those folks. Also keying a low pressure system they'll be moving through with a pretty large cold front, which, as we can see, is going to be lined by this band of precipitation again over Lake Michigan and out into parts of Iowa. And we can tell that there's pretty cold air behind it because take a look at that up in Minnesota, just north of Minneapolis. We're starting to introduce some snow chances. Again, this is going to be Wednesday morning, so something we're keeping a very close eye on. As that system moves over to the East Coast again, look at all of that snow up there in Canada. But once again, look at that high pressure starting to build in once more into the western part of the country. Here's our precipitation, or excuse me, our temperature outlook for pretty much the end of the month. And I'm going to just step off real quick here. Look at that. Everybody seeing above normal temperatures for this time of year. Everybody except for the far northwestern parts of the country are going to be warmer than usual and also drier than usual as well. Des Moines, Iowa today, 80 degrees, low of 56 degrees, just a couple clouds in there. Livingston, Montana, partly cloudy, 68 degrees, 41 degrees. And finally, Grand Junction, Colorado, 65, low of 44.
What is the current state of the ag economy, and are there any hopeful signs? We put those questions and others to ag economists, see what they have to say coming up next. And later, helping people in the Southeast recover from the deadly hurricanes. Why it's about so much more than financial aid or cleaning up in the country. New numbers show net farm income will fall $6.4 billion or 4.4% this year. This is compared to projections released in February suggesting it would fall 26%. But if you talk to economists, they'll tell you those figures come with misconceptions, as Farm Journal's Ty Morgan shows us in the latest Ag Economist Monthly Monitor.
The hustle of harvest is in full throttle.
Harvest is really coming quickly this year. We've really only had one rain delay since we started. It's been kind of a blur, honestly, the whole time.
Lafayette County, Missouri farmer Garrett Riekoff started harvest in early September this year with only about 3 days of rain delays so far.
I have never gotten through corn harvest in my memory with only one rain delay.
And as for corn, well, yields are impressive.
I would say this crop probably is second best. There'll be some fields that are record breakers.
Still, farmer sentiment has been sliding, with the latest Ag Economy Barometer falling to the lowest reading since it was started in early 2016.
If you look at the Ag Economy Barometer in early 21, for example, people were quite optimistic. As soon as the input costs started increasing, and they increased very rapidly for production agriculture, the sentiment went down dramatically.
Input costs are a weight on balance sheets. And Purdue ag economist Michael Langmeyer says that means the break-even price for farmers is higher than the price of corn today.
Even with the really strong yields we're looking at this year, we're looking at a break-even price of $4.70. And so it's that combination of a drop in prices and the fact that input costs are relatively high that I think is explaining why sentiment is so low.
The latest Ag Economist's monthly monitor, though, showed a tad more optimism compared to last month. But compared to last year, economists are concerned about the ag economy today.
The margins that farmers are facing on average are really a tough place to be in. From 2022 to 2024, the cost to produce corn dropped 5%, but price was down 37%. And when we look at those average numbers again from USDA, looking at cost of production for corn, price, and yield, that comes out to $125 per acre losses on average.
As the supply of crops looks to grow this year, it's the demand piece that even farmers are worried about.
Supply is not an issue, it's the demand. So that's really the thing that maybe keeps me up at night is what are we going to do with this? Because as the increase in cost of production goes up, equipment, labor, they all go up. Our commodity price needs to at least hang in there.
Thanks, Time. Wondering how you can help farmers and ranchers impacted by the hurricanes in the Southeast? It may be as simple as putting pen to paper. How these inspiring cards and letters are helping to make a difference in the recovery next. Many people are wondering how they can help farmers and ranchers impacted by Hurricane Helene. As the North Carolina Farm Bureau reports, there's this simple way all ages can send support.
So this one says, I hope your barn and animals are okay. Sweet. I was looking through Facebook after the hurricane hit, and then I saw a post from Mrs. Allison Clement from Sampson County. She's on our Women's Leadership Committee, and she encouraged teachers to encourage their students to write letters. So I texted her and I asked her if she would be okay if we created an Ag in the Classroom initiative for students to be able to write letters. So that's actually how the idea started, was from her. This one I was really impressed with because it's a really great picture of Chimney Rock. It says, Dear friends, I'm sorry for your loss. I hope you're getting the help you need. You will be in our prayers in the days ahead. God is there with you. And this is from a student from Davidson County. Immediately, the post went viral on Facebook. So we got close to 1,000 comments, about 500 likes, a ton of shares. And immediately the mail started coming. I've gotten a big box of letters every day since, so it's been kind of a big volume of letters coming in, and the response has been really good. And it's not just been from North Carolina, eastern states, and then all the way far west is California, New Mexico, Arizona. And I got my first letter from a lady in the United Kingdom, so that was really special. Your strength in the midst of this horrible time is hope for the rest of humanity. May many prayers be said, refresh your soul, and the light of hope shine upon you. So many people care, do not give up. You matter, your friends from Ohio. I think the main thing is when you don't live close to the tragedy, you may feel like you don't have the physical resources or financial resources to help. And with such a focus on mental health right now, especially for our farmers, I think it's important to have an outreach that can help support the mental health of those that are affected. This says, Dear Farmer, my name is Ahmed and I'm a sophomore in high school. I've lived in North Carolina my whole life. I've recently heard about the tragic event that has occurred near you. I understand farming is a hard task, and without you, I don't know where I would be. I consume many foods that are farmed from your area. I appreciate your work, and I hope everything gets well. In conclusion, everybody appreciates you nonstop and your work for the community. I want you to be aware that you matter and you are loved. Things happen to the best of us. Remember to keep your head up and stay motivated. Originally, I wanted to get the first wave in by Thanksgiving, and the more I think about it, I think it's going to be important to have it in a few months, maybe 4 or 5 months from now as well. This one's really cute. It's a hug, so you open it up, and it says, here's a hug you can hold in your hand, a token of love so you'll understand that even though now we may be apart, the very best hugs happen deep in our hearts, thinking of you and sending all of our love. They can send letters to me by physical mail. They can also scan and email me the letters. Just have them write letters and you can scan them, or write letters on a whiteboard, take a picture of that and send it to me. So that's the way that they can send them.
And if you missed that address, we have it up right now on the AgDay Facebook page. Our thanks to the North Carolina Farm Bureau for that story. Well, that's all the time we have for this morning. Thanks for watching. For everyone here at AgDay, I'm Michelle Ruck. Have yourself